Welcome to Radio 64.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, and a Happy New Year.
Welcome to Radio 64 Video Game Music Remix Radio. I'm your host, Eric Mickles, also known online as duskvstweak. Radio 64 is part of the Radio Meanwhile network. Visit radiomeanwhile.com for more information about this and other great podcasts. Share your thoughts on this episode and request music by following the show on Facebook or Twitter at Radio64Pod. And please rate, subscribe, and share the show on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We opened the show with Arctic Mayhem by Black Ace from ocremix.org from the game Battletoads. Battletoads being a game that I've always been a bit too scared to play because of its reputation for being so incredibly difficult. Famously difficult, so much so that even though I've played a few difficult games in my time, I have stayed clear of Battletoads. But David Wise did the soundtrack, so there's good music in there. And man, this track is nothing but energy. It's ridiculous. And when it switches to the chiptune, it doesn't lose any of its energy. It feels like it belongs in an extreme sports game as well, this remix. If Battletoads is as extreme as this song sounds like, I don't know if I'd ever be able to even beat the first level. So that was Arctic Mayhem by Black Ace from ocremix.org from the game Battletoads. And new track. So actually the next couple of songs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first 6 songs on this episode are all new tracks posted in the last week or two on OCR. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm especially excited for this Final Fantasy IX remix. A required Final Fantasy... I don't follow that rule every time. I don't get a Final Fantasy track on every episode. And there's a part of me that's like, good, prove that you don't need to play a Final Fantasy track. But then there's also that part of me like, but the rule that I have to play a Final Fantasy track every episode. I didn't follow it. But not today. Today we've got one from Final Fantasy IX. It's remixing Cid's theme from Final Fantasy IX. And I feel very unfamiliar with the Cid theme from Final Fantasy IX. There's a few tracks from the FF9 soundtrack that kind of have escaped my memory as time has gone on, whereas like 6 or 7 and 8, really, a lot of those tracks are just in there forever. There's something about 9 where like the first half of the game, I've got it locked, and then later on I'm like, I don't remember that track at all. One thing I really was impressed by with this remix that we're about to play is professionalism, because it sounds so well produced, so clean and crisp that it should be on the radio. I've been humming this track, doing the dishes and humming a song. I'm like, what is that? That's an 80s song, right? And then it dawned on me, I've been humming this remix, thinking it's part of the 80s music canon. This is called Unchain Me by Jorito and EarthKid from ocremix.org from the game Final Fantasy IX.
Trapped inside, I can't help but wonder how my mistakes led me here. Can I ever fix this? When I look back, you and me, and the bond between us, how did it all go wrong? If you could rescue me, set me free.
That is Unchain Me by Jorito and Earthcake from ocremix.org from the game Final Fantasy IX. And it also comes from the album Final Fantasy IX Beyond the Myst, which is from Pixel Mixers. Go check out Pixel Mixers' album Beyond the Myst. They have like 120 songs on this album. It's been split into 6 parts. It's ridiculous. It's huge. And that's just Final Fantasy IX. That's more Final Fantasy IX music than I ever thought I needed, and I'm so glad it's there. And I'm going to be sitting down to read and be listening to that whole tribute album. Up next is a track from Mario Kart Double Dash, which I'm pretty excited by. I loved Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, one of my favorite games ever. Some of the most fun I've had in video games on the Super Nintendo in general. Nothing but warm memories from Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. And then Mario Kart 64 just did not do it for me. It just felt slow and sluggish, and the graphics looked muddy, and that weird pixel graphic style for the drivers, I was just not in it. And it really wasn't until Double Dash that I got back on board, and I was like, okay, Mario Kart's fun again. I'm no good at Mario Kart Double Dash, but it's still fun. It drives me crazy that with the new Mario Kart, they've got all these characters, and they still don't bring back the double driver thing. It seems like the double driver thing should have become standard post Double Dash. I don't get it. But I don't make video games. This is mixing a whole bunch of tracks from Double Dash, so it's a fun little medley. This is called Vacation in the Mushroom Kingdom by Juke from ocremix.org from the game Mario Kart Double Dash. That was Vacation in the Mushroom Kingdom by Juke from ocremix.org from the game Mario Kart Double Dash. I just like how relaxing that is. I mean, it's right there in the title, Vacation, right? That's a vacation little island song right there. Just throw up a hammock and listen to the waves, hang out by the pool. Next track comes from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, remixing the Ballad of the Windfish in the Mysterious Forest. This is another acoustic pick, but this is a bit jazzier, a bit cooler. You got two people working here. So you got Reuben 6 and then Gamer of the Winds. And Gamer of the Winds is the one who's providing the flute and clarinet in this song, which is pretty cool. The Mysterious Forest, I got lost in there a couple of times as a kid on just the Game Boy screen. It's not even that big, so that's kind of an embarrassing to admit. Link's Awakening is one of the games I have like the warmest memories to. I just said that about Mario Kart for Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, but Link's Awakening is special, especially because it's on the Game Boy. So much of me playing that is just like under the covers at night when I'm not supposed to be playing video games. I've got my little magnifying glass and night light attached to the Game Boy. So I'm supposed to be asleep, and there I am playing Link's Awakening. Very warm memory right there. So this is a Toadstool mix by Reuben 6 and Gamer of the Winds from ocremix.org from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. That was a Toadstool mix by Reuben 6 and Gamer of the Winds from ocremix.org from the game The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Now, I said these first tracks are all new to OC Remix to the site, and that's true. However, this track is an older one because it was released on Mazedude's American Pixels album, which is an album I have and has some really cool tunes in there, but this one's always been the standout on that because it's just using Mazedude's twisty, dark, crunchy sound and lo-fi chiptune to really warp the Skyrim sound, but the strength and heroism of the original source is still there. It's such an interesting and entertaining take on the Skyrim Dragonborn theme. This is Dragonborn Concerto by Mazedude and Dhsu from ocremix.org from the game The Elder Scroll V Skyrim. was Dragonborn Concerto by Mazedude and Dhsu from ocrx.org from the game The Elder Scroll V Skyrim. But also you can find that on the American Pixels album. So if you liked what you just heard and you want more, go check out Mazedude's album. Undertale is up next, with this mix being a pretty spacey track. A lot of glitching in there with the lo-fi electronica. And it just kind of goes all over the place. It's not really always EDM. It starts to remind me of a remix we featured a few episodes ago called Those Ink Blots Are Pandas. It has this really weird glitchy vibe about it, but then it also picks up and has that EDM sound. But there are also moments that really have this empty spaciousness to them. It's a strange song. This is Irreversible by About Blank from ocrmix.org from the game Undertale. That was Irreversible by About Blank from ocremix.org from the game Undertale. Undertale is still on my list. I thought about tackling it very recently, and I just didn't. It's supposed to be so good, and now I seen too much about it. I don't know how many more surprises are in store for me if I play this game now, but I've got to tackle it so I can see what everybody loves so much about it, because everything I've heard music-wise is fantastic. Those were the 6 new tracks. Now we're going much older, so everything else came out in just like the past month. This track comes from 2003. It's called Black Block by DJComet, and it's remixing Arkanoid. You know what? I had to look up Arkanoid, but it's basically just Breakout. It's just one of those block-breaking games. Yeah, if I had played this as a kid, I probably would have loved it. And this is a retro electronic rave piece. The sound quality is definitely older in a noticeable way, but I still like it. It still has a fun beat and some interesting sounds. So this is Black Block by DJComet from ocremix.org from the game Arkanoid. That was Black Block by DJComet from ocremix.org from the game Arkanoid. Yeah, as I said, not super complicated, not super advanced, but there's something about that kind of track that I appeal to. Maybe it's because it's a certain sound that was around in like the early 2000s and it takes me back. So apologies for that piece of vanity right there. And now I want to play Arkanoid, or at least Breakout. I used to play those block breaking games on the computer all the time. Here's a game I've never played and I'm not sure I ever will. Okay, I did play it. I played Myst for about 10 minutes, maybe a little longer. And as a kid, I don't even think I was a teenager. Everybody was talking about how great it looked and how you should play it. And I I started Myst and I just couldn't get it. Maybe I was too young, maybe I would dig it now, I don't know. This track has a lot more energy than I thought a Myst game would bring to the table. I don't even remember music from what I played, but again, I didn't get very far. It has very energetic percussions around a slightly creepy piano track. It has a sound that almost reminds me more of like Kingdom Hearts or Tomb Raider in terms of its exploration vibe that it has to it. They remade Myst so that it's a little bit more updated graphical wise. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll turn it on. Maybe not. Maybe I'll never play Myst again. Unraveling the Mystery by DarkMessenger from ocremix.org from the game Myst. That was Unraveling the Mystery by DarkMessenger from ocremix.org from the game Myst. I remember the intro being really cool, and it came with like a journal or notes you were supposed to take that I thought were really interesting, and I think I took like 3 notes, and after that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, goodbye. Here's a game I promise you I will never play, Silent Hill 3. I played an hour, 2 hours of Silent Hill 2. I didn't get very far on the PS2 when I was like, you know what, I'm out. This is too much for me. I didn't even get far. I didn't even see anything super scary, right? I just couldn't do it. The atmosphere was just too terrifying. It made me kind of sick in like the pit of my stomach. I'm a wimp. It was all that to say, but this is from Silent Hill 3. It's remixing the Hometown track in a industrial rock sound. Very gravelly, very heavy. This is Hometown Unabashed mix by Flaming Death Fearies from ocremix.org from the game Silent Hill 3.
So outrageous the toll. You can lose all you have. You refuse to give in to the town that takes all to survive. You must have the will. How this movie doesn't end the way we want all the time. And he shouts at the moon. She's gone. Fears overcome. He was walking a mile. He was walking alone. All alone. So outrageous to toll. You can lose all you have. He refused to give in to the town that takes all. Survive. You must have the will. How this movie doesn't end the way we want all the time. And he shouts at the moon. She's gone. Fears overcome. He was walking a mile. He was walking alone. She's gone. Fears overcome. He was walking a mile. He was walking alone. All alone.
That was Hometown Unabashed mix by Flaming Death Fairies from ocremix.org from the game Silent Hill 3. You know, I'll never play Silent Hill 3, and industrial aggressive rock like that isn't something I normally listen to, but I really like this track for some reason. It must be the parts that remind me of like Nine Inch Nails, I think. I'm not a huge Nine Inch Nails fan, but there are a few songs and pieces of instrumental work that they've done that I really like, and so maybe that's what happens. Maybe I listen to this Hometown track and I kind of hear the hand that feeds a bit. Yeah, not normally my type of music, but for some reason I really got into this and its darkness. To fight back against some of that darkness, we've got a very impressive piano take on some Metal Gear Solid music here. It's actually remixing the 3 different Metal Gear Solid themes from Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, which I love. This is by Reuben. It starts off as a very quiet piano piece, and then it becomes something with a lot more percussions, brings in a bit of world music elements, and is much more action-packed and epic. So this is Legend of the Snake 2, Snake vs. Dragon by Reuben Key, ocremix.org, from the game Metal Gear Solid. was Legend of the Snake 2, Snake vs. Dragon by Reuben Key from oseries.org from the game Metal Gear Solid. We played the first Legend of the Snake track by the late Reuben Key back in episode 5. That was just called Legend of the Snake. But just like episode 5, that Reuben Key piano Metal Gear Solid track is the last track of this episode. History repeats itself. So thank you for listening to Radio64 Video Game Music Remix Radio. I'm your host, Eric Mickles, also known online as duskvstweak. Radio64 is part of the Radio Meanwhile network. Visit radiomeanwhile.com for more information about this and other great podcasts. Share your thoughts on this episode and request music by following the show on Facebook or Twitter at Radio64Pod. And please rate, subscribe, and share the show on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.